It took some time for pickups to be considered cool or stylish, and it wasn't until the 1990s when people realized that lower trucks could become real head turners. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for watching this video in our Bottom Line series, which focuses on everything about custom lower trucks. My name is Kevin, and I want to ask you, do you drive a lower truck? Well, it'd be a lot cooler if you did, or at least I think a lot of people could agree with that statement. In this video, I'm hanging out at Old Anvil Speed Shop, and we're going to be discussing the history of lowering trucks. Now, whether you own a classic truck or a modern 2024 truck, I think it's a good idea to learn how to lower these trucks, even if you do not plan to do the work yourself. I also think it's a good idea to be knowledgeable about the history of suspension modifications so that we can utilize the lessons learned of the past. And as I say, those that do not learn history are doomed to repeat it. So let's discuss the origins of lowering trucks. Well, starting off, I think people started to modify suspensions on trucks as early as the 1940s and 50s when hot rodding really began. But it wasn't a widespread thing, as people considered trucks for the purpose of hauling things, and that's pretty much it. You know, yeah, we did have some show trucks and things here and there, but people didn't really think that they could be something that could be stylish. A lot of it was more about performance and getting that out of these trucks. So maybe they would lower them a little bit to, hop them up a bit. But things started to change with time. In about the 1980s, I think that's when things started to take off for these trucks. Now, some of you might be older than me. I didn't really live this stuff, and maybe I have things wrong. This is what I've gathered from stories or photos that I've seen. So if you want to correct me, go ahead and drop a comment below. To be specific, I think things didn't really change until the late 80s, early 90s, when the lowrider scene started to take off in Southern California. Back then, people were modifying big cars to go low and cruise the streets on the weekends, and a lot of people wanted to be a part of this, but not a lot of people had money to spend on these vehicles in order to modify them. So they found that mini trucks were a good entry-level point into getting into everything, as you could pick one up for a few $1,000s and modify them yourselves and be a part of all the action. Now, ride quality wasn't a big thing back then, and really what ride quality did you need to go 5 miles an hour down a street? Now, if you wanted to use your truck for something else, yeah, tough luck on that. But what these guys would do is they would either heat up or cut down coil springs to get them down low, and that's really a bad or wrong way to lower a truck. I don't suggest doing that nowadays. There's a lot of companies that provide some good quality parts that will get your truck riding good while low. It took some time for pickups to be considered cool or stylish, and it wasn't until the 1990s when people realized that lower trucks could become real head turners. This is really when the sport truck generation started, specifically with the 88 to 98 Chevy and GMC trucks, also known now as OBS trucks. They weren't OBS back then, we call them CK trucks, because they weren't old body style then, they were new. But either way, hot rodders started to get back into things. They saw these trucks, they were a little bit more modern, easier to drive, more people were picking them up, and a lot of people had inspiration to get them low. So then we started seeing companies like DJM, Beltec, and Western Chassis create what we call now traditional, basic, or static drops for these trucks. And you would see parts like springs made specifically to lower trucks, rear shackles, rear flip kits, rear lowering blocks, and even front spindles, which help out with ride quality and keep the geometry right up front. And these companies still make good quality parts for other trucks as well. And if you have a modern 2024 truck, you can look at either DJM, MaxTrack, or McGaughy's to get you going. At the same time, the lowrider scene decided to fire back by going even harder with their trucks. They found out that they could salvage hydraulic parts from old airplanes and adapt them to their trucks in order to get them on the ground, flip a switch, and raise them up in order to drive. But again, ride quality wasn't a thing here, and I don't need to knock on lowriders at all. You guys are very innovative in pushing things forward for trucks, but truck enthusiasts had a different approach. They found air springs from bigger trucks, and they thought this was the best of both worlds, and really it is. I mean, basically you can lower your truck, raise it up and all that stuff, but air springs have some give, so you can have a smooth riding truck nowadays. And KP Components was a good company that was able to make it easy to adapt these parts to your truck with suspension systems and all of that. And later on, Porterbuilt did the same for classic trucks and C10s and all of that. And if you want to know the difference between hydraulics and airbags, I did a whole video on it, and you can check it out by clicking the link in the description below. After a little while, it became the norm to have an airbag truck in the show circuit. And what do you know, guys wanted to go even further. So what do? They turned to the old hot rod method called channeling. But in the truck world, we call it traditional body drops. Basically what you do is you cut the floor so that the body goes down over the frame of your truck to make it even lower. Now, what guys found out is that while you do that, the seats go up, the floor goes up, all that stuff, and it's really uncomfortable to drive a truck like that. So they started to take out the sections of the frame underneath the cab so that they don't have to modify the floors and all of that. But they found out this was kind of like a hodgepodge way of doing things, and the frame was so modified they might as well swap everything out. And they started creating new chassis for these trucks. And nowadays, now we have GSI, Roadster Shop, Chop and Block, TCI. We also got Acme Chassis Factory, and they all create frames for these trucks in order to do the same thing, but you don't have to modify your floor that much, so it makes it really easy. Now, if you have a modern truck, Fat Fabs is the name of the game for those trucks. If you're enjoying this video so far, now's a good time to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel as well. All right, now moving on, around the same time that air ride was kind of becoming the norm, people started to realize that coilovers were a good option as well, and that you didn't have to have your truck all the way on the ground for it to be cool. And if you added coilovers, you got some performance as well as good ride quality. And trust me, I've driven a couple trucks with coilovers, and I can tell you they ride great. You can tune them up for performance and ride quality. You get all that stuff out of it. I think it's a great way to go. Companies like Classic Performance Products and RideTech were really innovative. They were the first companies to really have coilovers and make systems for trucks. But nowadays we have QA1, we have TCI, we have Roadster Shop. They all have suspension systems to add coilovers to trucks, or classic trucks to be specific. If you have a modern truck, while doing the research for this video, I found out that RideTech has coilover kits for 2024 Chevy, Ford, and Dodge trucks. After some time, classic truck enthusiasts figured that if they were swapping out the front and rear suspension systems on their trucks, they might as well scrap everything and start fresh. Seeing this demand, companies like GSI, Art Morrison, Roadster Shop, and TCI developed new chassis systems to roll right underneath these trucks so they could benefit from coilovers. Now, on my 62 GMC, this ended up being the best option for me, as it has a lowered suspension, but it rides a little rough here and there, and there wasn't many other options for it. So when TCI came up with this new chassis, I figured, hey, I'm gonna buy it, and Old Anvil's gonna help me out by doing the swap. And I can't wait for this to happen, because I can't wait for this truck to be driving down the street nice and smooth and low at the same time. With that being said, I think lowering a truck is the best way to make it stand out from the crowd and transform it into a real head turner. I also think it's a good idea to look back at the basics of lowering to make sure you drop your truck right. Well, that just about does it for this video, and it's time for me to sign off. Before I go, I want to thank you for watching it, and if you made it this far, you might as well help me out by hitting that like button. If you have anything to say, feel free to drop that stuff in the comment section below. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future video, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.